Alright, so I'm back, hoping to make more videos, but the first video I wanted to make while coming back is to go over this head unit here from Dasaita. Now this is their most recent head unit. It's a 10-inch screen, I believe, and as you can see, it does come with some knobs and buttons. So that's one great thing. The radio that I did have before, it was nothing but touchscreen. It was a great head unit, but there were some small things that I didn't like about it, and which is why I'm very excited to get this one installed, because overall you can see that the hazard and clock button can easily go here without any modification. Has knobs and buttons to quickly, adjust the volume. And the way that it mounts is that you can still use the stock brackets, so it's securely in the dash and you don't have to worry about it popping out and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and get this thing installed right now. Alright, so let's quickly go over what's inside the actual box. You do get the head unit there, obviously. You'll get some instructions and manuals. You will get 2 bags, and then you'll get some trim tools. You will get 2 bags, one's containing the other miscellaneous accessories that you do get, and then you do get the actual wire harness here. So first off, in the accessory bag, you get a lot of things like the actual microphone, USB, the SIM card, some antennas for the Wi-Fi or GPS antenna, all that kind of stuff, some more antennas. Now this stuff I don't really care too much for, because I strictly just use the radio just for Apple CarPlay, which it does have Android and Apple CarPlay. Now the most important bag here is the main wire harness. You can see that it does come with 3 different wire harness. Now this can get confusing. I have one in the actual truck now. All these plugs, it can get a little confusing, but I'm going to show you the most easiest way, or one way that I think it is the easiest to actually get this installed. So this is what I find to be the easiest way to do this. Now this is the head unit, or the harness that came with the head unit. Now all the plugs that are coming out from the truck or on the stock dash need to be plugged in to whatever plug that it can fit into on the head unit harness. So every plug that comes out from the dash needs to be plugged in to one of the plugs that's in the harness here. You can see that there might be some extra plugs that don't go anywhere. Now that's okay, as long as the ones that are plugged in that coming from the dash are plugged in to the actual harness here on the head unit. Now there is a ground wire too that I did ground to a grounding spot behind the dash. Now it is directly behind here, so it is kind of difficult to remove all this stuff, but you can ground it to wherever you like, and it does need to be grounded. So this is the plug right here, this black one that plugs into the actual head unit, and the remaining plugs down here are for the hazard button or the clock, and then these are for the AC controls. So one thing to also note for the camera, there is an accessory or an extra wire harness in order to plug in for the backup camera, so let me go ahead and get that really quick. Alright, so in the accessory bag there is a plug or a harness like this, and you are able to plug in the reverse or the factory reverse camera, and as well as if you have a sub, they can also be plugged into here. So on the main head unit harness, there are 2 yellow plugs. The yellow plugs are for the camera, so they both do say camera, unfortunately. But the easiest way of how you determine which one you need to use is that one of these plugs, like this one here, leads into this plug that doesn't go anywhere. So obviously that one can't be used. So this one that's remaining goes into this plug here, and it plugs into here, and it goes to the actual dash. So this is the one that you'll use, and you plug it in to the accessory harness that does say cam, I believe. Yeah, there we go. So it says cam right there. So there are 2 yellow ones. One is for, looks like auxiliary, and then this one is for the cam. So you'll plug in this to the yellow wire here, and then the other plug will plug directly into the radio. Okay, so whatever head unit that you do have before, if you have these clips, whether it's the stock stereo or whatever aftermarket head unit, you want to transfer over the front the top 3 clips. Now the ones on the bottom, they don't really need to be installed because it doesn't really do anything. Actually, the clips fell off and are somewhere in the actual dash, but you get those installed. Once you do remove the hazard button or clock that you have, you could simply just put it in here and it just clicks in place and it looks pretty good. So that is one cool thing. It's a lot easier to just have this already built in. Then the stock brackets, the screws do come with the Dasaita head unit, so you're just gonna match these here and put them in, and the holes do actually line up. Alright, so I got everything plugged in. The hazard clock button is sitting flush. Now these brackets are labeled left and the right side, so it's more obvious. They do all 4 bolt in correctly to the location here on the head unit, and now everything is good to go to get it installed. So okay, so I find it a lot easier to get all the plugs and the harness plugged in beforehand. That way, whenever you're gonna plug in the radio, it's just one plug, which is, where is it at? It's only one plug here, like this black one plugs into the radio, and this other black one here plugs into the actual back side of the head unit. So that's a lot easier than having to plug it into here and then plug in all the other plugs and having to like hold the radio, all that stuff. So this is a lot easier to just do it that way. So alright, so the radio is in. You can see it does sit pretty flush. Obviously it does come out a little bit, and that's just because the size of the screen. It is taller, but it's not wider than the actual fitting of the dash. So everything does line up correctly underneath. Those are the stock mounting points on the dash. You screw those in. Once you screw those in, you're just gonna pop in the what do you call this? Climate control. So if you don't know, this just simply pops out. It's being held by screws, so you just pop it out in order to access those bolts there. Alright, so this is the home screen of the unit. Now, without touching any settings, this is what it does have for sure. So it does have Apple CarPlay, so that does work. Now you can just press the home button to go back to the home screen. The volume knob, it does power the volume, so that's cool. And I can still also use the steering wheel control if I want to adjust the volume that way too as well. Now, if you want to go home, or let's go to the actual music. Now, if you want to go to music, you can actually just use this knob here, and it does change throughout the songs. So that's a lot quicker than having to use the button here. You can use that, or you can just quickly adjust it through here. You do have a back button here that does go back to whatever screen that you were previously on, so that's cool. And the reverse camera still does work, so let's put in reverse, and yep, so everything does work like it's supposed to. I'm gonna do a better review or full review on this radio. I'm gonna give it a good month of actual use, see what other kind of settings you can change on here. But off the bat, without changing anything, it does seem like a better overall fit. Because one cool thing too is that when you do turn the lights on, it does automatically dim or go into night mode. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in about a month.